Derby County are at Pride Park Stadium once again as they host Bristol City, playoff contenders for the 2025-26 season. And it is a huge game for John Eustace and Derby County, but one which is going to take a tremendous amount of patience. Now, starting off this season, Derby County have a host of injury worries which haven't quite yet been dealt with, and Derby County are still looking like the team which struggled near relegation last year. Bristol City, on the other hand, are starting exactly where they left off last year. So far, it's 2 wins and a draw in all 3 competitive games, whereas Derby County, it's 2 losses, 1 draw and 1 win. The win came in that draw up against West Bromwich Albion in the Cup game. But we're going to take a look at both teams, Derby County and Bristol City, within this video. We're going to have a look at the likes of Carlton Morris and Scotty Twine, as well as taking a look at the injury worries for both sides and how these teams could shape up against each other across the course of the next few hours. Now, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what does happen, but shall we take a look into Derby County versus Bristol City? Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Check out NordVPN, Kitbag, and CD Keys down in the comments. CD Keys will provide you all your gaming goods. Kitbag will be all your kits and sporting goods, and NordVPN for everything VPN related. But if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. But let's get into it. Now, let's start off with Derby County and their injury worries. We have to only look through their injury list to see why they're in a little bit of trouble at the moment this season, with Corey Blackett-Taylor being the latest player to pick up an injury this season. It puts them in a very, very difficult position. Now, they also have the likes of Curtis Nelson, Kane Wilson, Lars-Jørgen Salverson, and Sondre Langas all out at the moment as well, which is obviously heavily disappointing for the Derby County fan base, as they were some key players throughout last season. Sondre Langas was a big part of the reason why they stayed in the division. Lars-Jørgen Salverson didn't play as much football as he would have liked last year, and Kane Wilson is a massive problem causer. You've then got Erwin Beck, who is out until the first international break, and Patrick Agyemang, who we don't quite know where he is. Now, Kane Wilson has been seen in training this week, in that open training session, but I don't believe has played any football yet. Rhian Brewster, Dejon Brown, Ben Osborne, and I believe there was one other as well, Bobby Clark, all got minutes yesterday for the B team, which was obviously a massive opportunity for them to get some minutes in the legs and get themselves one step closer to match fitness. But ultimately, I think that probably rules them out of starting on Friday afternoon. Now, if we do take a look at Derby County's situation so far this season, we've conceded 9 goals in 3 games, scoring just 5, which is obviously disappointing for Derby County, but it's something which can be got on top of. Now, all that John Eustace needs to do is help Derby County become a bit more defensively solid, and we'll look like a much different team, in my opinion. We've shown that we can score goals. We've scored in every game so far this season, and scoring 3 against Coventry is no easy feat. Now, it is going to be interesting to see how they do set up this weekend, and whether John Eustace sticks with that 3-5-2. Will he move back into a back 4? I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to have to see this weekend. Now, if we take a look at Bristol City so far this season, 6 goals scored, just the 1 conceded, and they were very disappointing in their 0-0 draw with Charlton Athletic. That's a game for me where Bristol City will have wanted to win that, especially as they're hoping this season will be a promotion push, but unfortunately it wasn't one which they got over the line. Now, obviously, we have to look at that game against Sheffield United, where they were absolutely unbelievable. Scotty Twine bagged a brace as well as an assist, with Maheti and Emil Rees-Jacobsen picking up a goal and an assist apiece. McCrory picked up a goal and assist as well, and former Derby County player Jason Knight was one of the stars of the show. We've seen, obviously, Haydon Roberts is a part of that squad, another former Derby County player, and they set up in a 3-4-2-1 formation under Gerhard Struber, who is their brand new manager this season, and that obviously put them in a really good position. Now, they didn't create a huge amount of chances in the game. They didn't sort of have a huge amount of possession, and they certainly didn't dominate in terms of XG in this game, but they were a team that were able to be clinical. They got things done. It was identical to the result which Derby County got against Bristol City this time last year, where Derby County, I believe, were 3-0 victors in that game. game, and that was obviously brilliant for Derby County that time. But is it something that Derby County can do again? Now we look at their next game, which was obviously the EFL Cup up against MK Dons, managed by former Derby County manager Paul Warne. We saw Jason Knight bag a goal, Scotty Twine bag a brace, and I think it was Hirakawa who came off the bench to score their final goal of the game. Max Bird, another former Derby County player, got himself onto the pitch as well after 75 minutes, after suffering a little bit of an injury. And yet again, it's that 3-4-2-1 formation, which Bristol City have handled so well across the course of their last few seasons. Now in this game, they were much better on the ball, keeping the ball, creating a lot more accurate passes, but again, didn't create many high quality chances and only took 14 shots against an MK Dons side which had 35% possession and created most of their XG from open play, which certainly opens the door to show that Derby County do have a possibility of potentially being able to seal the deal and getting a victory in this one. We then take a look at the game up against Charlton Athletic, yet again sitting in that 3-4-2-1, but this time the game ended in a draw. Now it is going to be interesting to see how this does affect Bristol City going forward, because once again, very, very low in terms of XG, not really able to create those high quality chances, and in terms of pass accuracy, just 74% across the team, which certainly isn't what you want, especially when you're at home as a Bristol City manager. You want to be doing a lot more. Now, if we look at Bristol City's own injury problems, you've always got Max Bird, who is returning from injury at the moment. I believe he came on for about half an hour in that game versus Charlton Athletic. I'd expect to see him for a little bit longer in this one against Derby. But they've also got the likes of Max O'Leary, Luke McAnally, Joe Williams and Cameron Pring, all expected to be out of this game. And at the moment, if you look at the two sides' top goal scorer, there is Scotty Twine and there is Carlton Morris. Both players have played 2 games, scoring 2 goals so far this season. Now, obviously, as I've said time and time again on this channel, the league table doesn't really matter at this stage, but Bristol City sit 4th with 4 points from a possible 6, scoring 4 goals, conceding just 1 with a goal difference of +3. Derby County, on the other hand, sit in 22nd with 0 points from a maximum of 6, scoring 4, conceding 8, and there's a lot of work to do for Derby County. Now, if we do look at the XG charts, Derby County should be right down there at the bottom and Bristol City should be in 19th, but we'll have to wait and see how that adapts across the course of the season. Now, if we do look at the head-to-head of both sides, it's 9 wins for Derby, 9 wins for Bristol and 5 draws apiece. Last season, it was on as even in terms of points from each club. Derby County with that 3-0 win back in August, and then Bristol City winning at Ashton Gate 1-0 early in January when Derby County went through that horrific run of form, which led to John Eustace becoming the Derby County manager. Now, there's a lot of news to talk about in regards to Derby County. Is Dion Sanderson going to start again? Is there going to be a change of goalkeeper? And is there a possibility that Kane Wilson could be involved this Friday? Now, Kane Wilson said at the open training session, according to a fan, that he could play if John Eustace let him, and it will be interesting to see if he is involved. We obviously saw Bobby Clark, Ben Osborne, Dejon Brown, and there was another one, I can't remember who it was now, play in that game earlier on yesterday, which was for the B team, which was really good to see them get minutes. Ryan Brewster was the other one. Gave them an opportunity to get some big, significant minutes in the legs, and that sort of opens the door for how this squad may shape up this evening. Well, on Friday evening, not this evening. And we look back to that performance against Coventry City. Dion Sanderson, a little bit of a stinker. Zetterstrom wasn't his greatest, and Danny Barr ultimately wasn't great either. It is going to be interesting to see what John Eustace does choose to do as we sort of move forward into this next fixture. Does he stick with that 3-4-1-2 which he played, having obviously Ibu Adams as the number 10 with Morris and Jackson up front? Does he bring in Jake Rooney at right centre half? Does he change the midfield structure? Because in my opinion, that is what Derby County need. Now, it is going to be interesting to see what John Eustace does do. For me, I'm going with Zetterstrom in goal, a back 3 of Jake Rooney, Danny Barr, Matt Clark, And Callum Elder or Craig Forsyth, I'm not too fussed at left wing back. I'm going with a midfield two of Adams and Ozo. With Ryan Niambi as that right wing back, I don't think we're going to see Kane Wilson. I've personally put Kenzo Heldmine as that number 10, but I think there's a possibility it could be Andreas Weimann. And then the front two, it has to be Carlton Morris and it has to be Caden Jackson, because there's no one else that can play those positions. Now, obviously, you can let me know your thoughts and score predictions down in the comments. If you have not done so already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Check out the channel partners down in the description: NordVPN, Kitbag, and CD Keys. It explains exactly what they can do for you down there. So if you have not done so already, go and check them out, and I'll catch you later on today.